Siempre ha existido una prensa conservadora, una prensa fifí. Yo no inventé lo de fifí. Entonces, ¿qué son al final los fifís? Pues son fantoches, conservadores, saberlotodos, hipócritas, doble cara.
Respeto.
¿Por qué no te callas?
Ahorita lo arreglamos.
Que no va a venir porque estás bien pinche visco.
Hoy.
Ahora sí me saliste más cabrón que bonito. Oh, ni madres. Aquí es la ley de Herodes. O te chingas o te jodes.
Convencidos de que el multilateral
viejo pendejo. Más te vale que le pidas perdón a mi hijo si no te las vas a ver conmigo, cabrón.
Perdóname, mijo. Sepa.
tenga una buena, cálida y acogida y sea bien recibido aquí en la región de los Tuxtlas. No fue albur, no sean así.
No es este pinche mundo ni la voluntad de Dios. Es la bola de hijos de la chingada que lo manejan. Como el cabrón ese del licenciado Escurain. Y cae que es por su culpa que nomás no podemos salir del hoyo.
Afortunadamente tiene México. Muchas gracias. Ya sé que no aplaudo.
Welcome to another episode of Soda Histeria in English. With us is our special friend from Huehue land, Volunteer. Hello, Volunteer.
You think social distance is your ally? You merely adopted the quarantine. I was born in it, molded by it. I didn't left the house until I was already a man. Anyway, hello everyone.
Hello, my fellow neats.
Quarantine Brazil.
And as you can hear from the laugh, Paul is with me.
Hello! Glad to be here. Always.
And as usual, I'm Cavernario. I'm one of your hosts. And we're talking about Coronachan this time, guys. So, what are your thoughts about it? How is everything going on in Brazil, my friend?
Well, so far we had about nearly 1,000 cases and about 18 deaths. Of those, almost all of them, with one exception, were old people. The exception was a middle-aged guy with tuberculosis. The vast majority of the cases are in São Paulo. Here where I am, I am going doxing myself again. In Rio there was about 100, slightly more than 100 cases. That being said, they already started some quarantine procedures since about last week.
What's the average temperature in Brazil right now? Like in Rio, for example?
Normally it's too hot for comfort, really. But weirdly enough, at least this year, it wasn't a particularly hot summer. And now we're starting fall now, autumn, right? And it's not that hot either. Fortunately, it's
so about how many degrees?
I would say should be about 30 degrees Celsius, I guess.
Yeah, but with a lot of humidity, so yeah, you can.
Yes, humidity is extremely high in the state of Rio, at least.
Yeah, so that's a problem. And I was also, I don't know where I heard this, but apparently the thing that they were talking about, that the heat is going to kill the virus, apparently is just like it's not really true. And that's
just
God damn it, really? I just had my hopes.
That's what I heard.
Probably wishful thinking, just about.
Maybe, but to be fair, with it's extremely cold. People tend to get together more, so that might be the reason.
See, that's what they're talking about. That the problem is that when In colder climates, people tend to be more in contact, and that spreads
and
more
in closed spaces.
Yeah, it becomes like a bigger issue in climates when it's in the winter. But
well, luckily, at least that's not that much of a problem for us now, is it? I mean, it's
for you specifically because you are on the southern part of the hemisphere, so it's summer there. But here we're just entering spring today, actually.
Well, we are entering autumn right now, fall, whatever, just started now. But our summer was weirdly not very hot as it is normal.
Yeah, no, winter was not that really cold.
No, it wasn't. We never got below like -4 or something like that.
Yeah, and that's what was on the outskirts of the city. Really in the...
Yeah.
So anyway, so 1,000 cases in Brazil.
Yes, and the vast majority of them are in the region of São Paulo, which is the economic and industrial center of the country. So that's to be expected.
Yeah, it's the informal capital of Brazil.
Yes, the capital is Brasilia, but I mean, whatever. It is because it is. But economically speaking and politically, to be fair, São Paulo leads with a much larger degree of importance.
So is São Paulo like your New York City?
You could say that, yes. There is just as many Jews in New York. I'm just joking. I don't know for sure, but there are plenty of them.
And as we said, like a lot of episodes ago, they usually have three last names, right? Like Pino or something like that. Like, Pine.
Silva.
Silva is a tree.
Well, it comes from I think the Latin word silvus. Silvanus or something like that. I'm not really sure. But yeah, it's usually from tree names. I think we already talked about this though, and I don't think that's the theme. Yeah. As much as I like to trash on that, that's not really the theme this time, at least. I mean, you can always blame the yellow Jew, but that's another thing.
So when was the first case of coronavirus detected in Brazil? How long ago?
Probably the president, right?
Yeah, it was about, I think, 3 weeks maybe. But it was just one case in São Paulo. It was I think it was a businessman that was coming from Italy. It was the first case. The majority of the cases are from people that came from Italy. Not much now though, since we are starting to close the borders with almost every country. The only country we haven't closed the borders is with the United States. I think for more ideological reasons than anything, but also to have another connection with another country.
Yeah, and that's probably one of the countries that you actually want to close one of the first countries you want to close your border with.
Yes, as much as I like the president right now, some of his actions which are moved by ideological reason lack the reason, really. Because I'd rather keep myself completely close to the United States. That's one country that's going to be hit hard.
Look, Volunteer, at least you don't have our president that he was actually saying this week in a public presentation that the Mexican was going to be saved from the coronavirus because of our moral shield, from a moral fortitude. That's what's going to help us from the coronavirus.
Yeah, we have a moral shield that will protect us.
Yeah, the moral fortitude of the Mexican is going to wield us out from the coronavirus. He actually said that, and he during the presentation he actually took his time to show like a amulet that a person gave to him, which was like was a dollar bill and another fucking shit that they gave to him in order to protect him from the coronavirus.
One of those scapularies. You know what a scapulary is, my friend?
A scapularis? No, sorry, I have no idea.
It's a Catholic symbol that is supposed to protect you from evil. And
sure.
Yeah, he was actually.
And I'll say this though: if anything, this virus is discrediting most of the political elite in not just the West, but most of the world, really. Because I mean, come on, that's pretty wacky, really.
It's incredibly wacky. What that tells you about the current situation in Mexico is that we have no fucking idea what to do, or our leaders don't have no fucking clue what to do, and we actually don't have the resources to face this. So what I think is happening is that the president has to come out because he has like a morning presentation every day. And it's incredibly boring to listen to. It lasts like 2 or 3 hours. And in every one of these presentations, he does this in order to... I think that in order to not show that they are completely in panic and they have nothing they have no plan, they have to come up with these things so they can, like feed... bunch of platitudes to calm the general population, but because the actual truth is that they don't have the testing kits enough, at least to
because of the internet now, had they?
Yeah, there's nothing because there's a lot of problems here in Mexico. One of the things that Lopez Obrador did, I think last year, Mexico has like in the money that the government has, it has like a special needs in case of emergency, like a fund.
Wait, special needs?
Yeah, well, actually, for emergencies, there's a natural catastrophe or something like that, or for pandemics of this kind. The president actually used those funds to stimulate the economy, according to him. Where the money went, nobody knows, but he actually used like half of those resources. So now we don't have any money to actually do anything now that we need that. So we're in the fucking gutter.
Yeah, got it. I mean,
it's bad.
The situation's not that great here either. I mean, the economic situation here in Brazil was bad after the illness. It was starting to get back on track, but most of it's mostly going to the drain now because of this new crisis. And of course, we're not a first world country, so we are mostly likely going to... I mean, some of the state governors here predict that in about 1 month or slightly more, some of the hospitals for the state of São Paulo and Rio de Janeiro, which are the biggest places of these cases, are going to enter into total breakdown.
That's always good news to hear, that the hospital system is going to collapse.
I mean, it's like saying like rain is wet. That's no news, no new news here. But still, I mean, if countries with actually decent medical care system are completely overwhelmed, what to say about a crappy third world country like Brazil?
Banana Republic status, as always.
But sadly, you're lesser Banana Republic now with your president, and we're becoming King Banana Republic right now.
We're probably King Banana Republic. We already have the crown and all the accolades and all of that. We have won everything. Yeah, it's going down the rain, really, really fast. This train has no brakes.
Yeah, the peso has devalued 25% in 15 days.
Oh, believe me, the Brazilian real has devalued even. And I mean, to be completely fair, I don't like it, but it's from an economic standpoint, it's understandable. But the Brazilian real value, at least compared to the American dollar, has fallen way too much. I have no idea how much it's fallen.
I would actually want to I would like to look up the exchange rate between the real and the Mexican peso, because the last time I checked that, like 6 years ago, it was like 5 pesos for 1 real. I would like to see if it has, like stay.
Well, yeah, it stays mostly the same. 1 real. Wait a minute. 1 real up to nearly 5 Mexican pesos. Is that it? I don't know.
Yeah, like 6 years ago.
It's still the same, but compared to the American dollar, we lost lots of power. Because it works like this. I mean, not to go too deep into the economics, but the interest rates in Europe and the United States are very, very low. But here in Latin America, especially in Brazil, interest rates are pretty high. So people from the West, from Europe and the United States, they like to put their money here because it will earn them more money. Simple, really. But ever since, I think, and that was the case for the last 20, maybe 30 years, and that made the Brazilian real worth more than it should be worth compared to the dollar. Now, those investors are leaving the Brazilian country because we are in a recession. Well, we were in a recession, economic and political crisis, so the value is returning to a more realistic. That being said, I can't say I enjoyed it because $5 American for 1 real, that's a lot, right?
Yeah, yesterday, the last time I checked, because the current work that I'm doing, in sales, and all the products that we sell are in American dollars. The Mexican peso, the dollar was at like 24.60 or 80, or for $1. So it has gone up. Last week, the dollar was like at 21 pesos for $1. So it has gone up significantly.
Yes, it's mostly likely because of this Chinese AIDS cringe virus, really.
Yeah. And it's worrisome because in the company that I'm working right now, everything is managed with US dollars because of the product that we sell. But if the Mexican pesos the value is even more, I don't know what's going to happen. People are going to have a really hard time buying our product, even if they need it, if they absolutely need it.
Yeah, there's going to be a big issue coming forward, like in the next 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
Yes, but I mean, that's no really way to feel better, but it's mostly likely going to hit everyone in every single country. And I mean, the American economy and the European countries' economy is going to be hit pretty hard as well. So it might end up evening out, right?
I don't know what's going to happen, my friend, actually. I hope that in the mid to long term, it's going to be good because probably a lot of industries will decouple from China. And if they do so, they're probably going to invest more heavily in Mexico because we're their closest partner.
Maybe Brazil, too. Maybe everything is going to... Well, not everything, but because you still have Taiwan and Vietnam and all of those places.
Sure, but come on. Historically, what has China given besides cheap, trashy goods and diseases? People might
medicines right now. The sad thing is that medicines.
Yeah, true enough. Just going with the banter. But anyway, I don't think they might come to Brazil because our bureaucracy is so bloated that makes anyone wants to start a business here have a really, really hard time.
Just do it illegally.
One of the campaign promises of Bolsonaro is to get rid of that.
Just do it like here in Mexico.
That's really hard.
Just do it like here in Mexico. Do it illegally.
That happens here as well.
Yeah, I know. I have went to the favelas and see all of the tianguis and the street shops. I felt like in Mexico, like, oh, this is a tianguis.
Yeah, you feel just like you are home, right?
Yeah, riding home, like, oh yeah.
That's a good
a little bit more colorful. I think favelas are very colorful, right?
Depends what part. If you're in Rio de Janeiro, they're really colorful. If you're in Fortaleza, no.
Yeah, if you're going to the northeast, you feel like in a
you're probably in a market in Nigeria then.
No, it's like the tianguis here in our city, like in
El Pasito.
No, like if you go to the Malvinas or something like that.
Okay.
Or Martín Golpes or something.
Like the Mercado del Hoyo.
Yeah. No, imagine like in some of the periphery, some of the colonies in the periphery.
Yeah.
And there's like a tianguis in an open place, but with the streets don't have any. They're streets. Yeah, they're not paved. There's no pavement. So interesting. I felt right at home.
But that's actually a good topic to bring up, though, because speaking of the coronavirus, at least so far the cases have been in the at least in Rio, in the richer, elderly, well-off neighborhoods. But there's a fear that they might go to the favelas, the slums around here, and if that happens, then you might end up seeing quite the epidemic. Because, I mean, they are slums, they're not, the hygienic system is non-existent, or bad at best.
Are you telling me you Huehue monkeys don't have the health issues solved in the favelas?
Who would expect that? You know what? No, we don't. Crazy, right?
How about is it? How about is it in the poorer parts of the country?
Well, yeah, it's pretty bad. We're talking about Africa levels here.
Do they have sewer systems and like running water, or that's an issue too?
It depends. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't.
Well, at least here in our city, even the shittiest places have running water and at least sewer.
It was worse back then, a few years, like a couple of decades back, but it's hardly a good place to live, even if you are poor.
Yeah, of course, like everywhere here in our in our banana continent. Yeah.
Well, Uruguay, I would say, is an exception to that. But whatever, it's not even a real country anyway. I mean, sorry, Brazilian imperialist spirit speaking a bit higher here.
So, is Uruguay part of like Brazil? Was it part of Brazil or part of Argentina?
Well, it was called.
Both.
It was a. Well, so in the early 19th century, it used to be a province from the Brazilian Empire called Cisplatin. It had a revolution supported by Buenos Aires, and it gained its independence. That's basically it. And that was before the Paraguayan War, because we here in Brazil the Brazilian Empire was always wary of the Argentinians back then, because they supported the Uruguay independence, and because they were Republican, we were a monarchy. But yeah, it used to be Brazilian territory, but that was like 200 years ago.
Okay. Yeah, the Paraguayan War, we talked about it before, and it's amazing how a country could lose like 80% of its male population in 2 years.
Oh, Solano Lopez wanted to use the entire population as soldiers. And that he did, but I don't think he expected the results to be that drastic.
How large was the population of Paraguay at that time? I imagine it couldn't be that big in order to, exterminate 80 or 2/3 of the male population.
Well, that's what you get by messing up with Huehue apes.
I'm probably not more than 2 million or something like that.
Yeah, they probably lost like a couple of million people.
And I think that's probably overestimating. Probably wasn't not even 1 million people, because I don't think that Paraguay was that populated at that time.
The losses were about less than 500,000, really. But Paraguay isn't really a big country.
Yeah.
And it's like half of the population was in the army, really.
Well, they needed to. When you're surrounded by enemies, you have to arm half of your population.
I mean, if you get a Paraguayan guy on the podcast, he most likely is going to give a different reason. But from where we stand, Solano Lopez had he wanted to be kind of a Napoleon in his of South America, and he also wanted to make Paraguay bigger.
Great again.
What was the name of that dictator? Because he was crazy, and his son, the next dictator, was also crazy.
I'm talking about Solano Lopez, which was the one which went to war against Dom Pedro here in Brazil.
Those guys were insane. Like, one of them banned marriages in the same race because he said that he didn't want to have, like, Spaniards and Indios. He wanted only one race, a Paraguayan race.
Oh, yes, that was his father, I think, Carlos Antonio Lopez.
And he succeeded. I mean, that happened in Paraguay.
Yeah, if you want to talk about white genocide, I think that's a good example of you to look at it in the 19th
But also
century.
Indio genocide, because there are no pure Indios either.
Sure, you lost both the Spaniards and the Guarani people. I mean, sure, nowadays they have their Paraguayan identity and all, but, they lost something.
I heard from some Argentinian friends, I don't know if this is true, that Paraguayan women have great bodies. They're kind of ugly, but they have great bodies. Is it true?
I mean, that might sound offensive, but whatever. To me, they kind of remind me of, the Star Wars Ewoks, really, the small brownish.
So hairy is small people?
Not so much hairy, yeah, but yeah, small people that talk in a strange language that time doesn't understand what it is.
Apparently, it's Spanish when they talk, but
no, but because they are so isolated, or they were so isolated for a while, they have a weird dialect.
It's not Spanish.
No, it's Spanish, but they have a lot of their own what you want to call it?
Slang. Accents and different words, right?
Yeah, a lot of slang. Yeah. So is it as bad as the way that Chileans speak?
No, nothing is as bad as Chileans. Nothing is as bad as them. Nothing.
Yeah, because it is weird. I actually had a lot of problems trying to understand people from Chile. More than Paraguay and Argentina and all of those places. Like everywhere in Latin America, with the exception of course, Brazil, because they were conquered by the Portuguese. There's like your own, not dialect, but like your own, the way that you speak Spanish in your own province. But
in Spanish, it's called Calais.
Yeah, but there's like an actual, everybody can actually speak like a standard Spanish that everybody can understand. So it is actually really helpful, and has been really helpful for a podcast for that reason, because we can reach to pretty much everywhere and speak with everybody without problems.
Oh, yeah. So we're talking about what the Paraguayan population, reminds me.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to the corona. So
yeah, better topic right now.
Yeah. So what do you think about your president having the Chinese AIDS? Because that's a better name for coronavirus.
That's. I mean, as much as I like him and some of the guys in his family, they do some stupid shit sometimes. Really, that he does not have it, but one of his sons had told Fox News when they won the United States that he had it, and then he said he didn't have it, and he's now doing multiple tests to prove that he doesn't have it. And so far, he does not have it.
So that sounds retarded. Well, why would you tell people that you have coronavirus? It doesn't make sense.
I don't know why, but I think there are aspects which I like from his sons. Not all of it's like going around with a Mossad shirt and pretending to love Israel, but that's another story. But I don't think they have enough political panache to act like, like politicians would act.
Well, Bolsonaro,
sometimes they do that kind of stupid shit.
Bolsonaro was actually a businessman, right?
No.
General, I think.
He was in the army. I think he was a captain in the army, and then he went to politics.
Oh,
but at least the father, Jair Bolsonaro, has much more political savviness than his sons have.
I always had the
So-
impression that he always gave me the impression that he was like a businessman. The way he carries himself, and that's like kind of like Trump in that way. That kind of attitude gave I don't know. I always thought that he has some like as a business magnet down there in Brazil.
After the success of Trump, at least in 2016, he tried to emulate some of it, and I'm not sure, but I think what was that guy name? The Trump campaign guy is the Breitbart guy. I forgot the name. He was in our he aided in the Brazil. Yeah, Stephen Bannon. He aided in our campaign, so that might be it. He must have been taking cues from what Trump was doing, and he does that. He tries to emulate. Not completely, of course, but some of the stuff Trump says and thinks.
Yeah, he doesn't look that orange to me.
Yeah, nor does he have a blonde wig either.
Yeah, that's a good thing. That's probably something that you don't have to do down in Brazil. You just go outside to Copacabana and you get a tan, and that's it. A natural-looking tan and a good one.
Yeah, but if you're not careful, you might end up looking like a leather couch pretty fast with that kind of sun. Or a completely red up shrimp or something like that.
Well, yeah. But at least you had fun.
So, what are the Brazilian people saying about the coronavirus? Do they think that it was a setup from the American government, or do they blame the Chinese?
Well, so far, there's the thing that you can't be racist because that's wrong, but that's hard to keep, So Bolsonaro was on a quick polemic episode a few days ago because he was blaming the Chinese for the virus. Imagine that, and then the journalists and the cocks in the political sphere starting to attack him, saying how dare he does that, and I think the Chinese consulate was attacking him as well. But if you look at the average man in the street, he might be a bit wary because of the virus, because it came from China, but we're not really pointing that many fingers, really. And as we aren't pointing any at the United States, at least with that regard. Nor is the left doing that. But they are using the coronavirus crisis to attack Bolsonaro, including some people from the center and the center-right as well.
Why?
Well, because they see as a chance to... Well, they don't... It's like Trump, really. Looking at the figure, not the politics of the guy. They can't stand the fact that their political machine was broken. And then someone that the people actually supported came to power, so they want to do everything in their power to take him down.
Yeah, I understand that, but what's are they giving reasons why it's probably Bolsonaro's fault? So what I'm going at is that he didn't respond quick enough.
Here, for instance, about 1 week ago, slightly more, last Sunday, there was a big march in support of Bolsonaro because he was being attacked by the judiciary, the media, and some members of the legislative power. He most often goes to those kinds of things, especially because he is extremely popular with his supporters. And I think he handshaked some guy over there, and the media started attacking him, calling that irresponsible because he might have coronavirus, and he should be impeached because of that.
Yeah, hyperbole and all of that.
Yeah,
Sorry.
It's like they're always trying to search for one way to try to take the guy down. Hasn't stopped since he got elected.
The same thing.
They're likely going to use the coronavirus crisis as an excuse to do that.
Our president does the exact same thing. He, instead of following because everybody's doing that in his cabinet, not shaking hands with people. He doesn't use like the disinfectant gel and all of that, and he he even hugs people and all of that. So yeah, I know that they're trying to give the appearance of normality and not to panic people. But like, dude, you are the president you're the president of Mexico. Even though I don't like him, you have to take precautions because we need you as healthy as possible to react to the current crisis.
Right. This right now, the Brazilian authorities are actually acting responsibly. Yeah. And to be fair, when you go to the streets, people are staying in their homes and following the rules to the extent they can do it. Because, I mean, come on, we are not a rich country, and a lot of people have to work, so they kind of have to take commutes, which is not great around here. It's always filled with people and all that. But to the extent that they can, I think they are doing well to try to contain this thing.
Hey, volunteer, have they suspended, school for children? Or because here in Mexico is starting...
Sure, they have. They have, at least starting last week in the state of Rio, schools, some restaurants and bars, theaters, and those public gathering places, beaches as well, which kind of sucks really, but what are you going to do?
I don't understand the beaches because they're open spaces.
It's open spaces with plenty of sun and air. I think they're just acting on impulse on this one. Kind of sucks really because it makes you one less thing to do really to pass the time.
Well, I can imagine the reasons because if you go to the beach, you probably are you're not going to have a lot of clothes. You're probably only going to have your bathing suit and that's it. So there's more possibility that the virus is going to stick to your. There's going to be more surface area.
But I mean, come on, you're like 1 minute's walk from the water.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's probably
to be fair. I don't know when was the last time you went here to Rio. You might notice that at least in the weekends the beaches are always completely packed. So there might be some decent reasoning behind that.
Yeah, I imagine so. It's not. There's probably
Still, so far the authorities are taking preventive measures, which I think they are being followed to a decent level. And I mean, the cases around here so far aren't really that high compared to what you see in Europe and all. But still, yeah.
Yeah, and what is the contingency plans that the government has? Because here in Mexico, we have like different phases that are going to be reached, like milestones. Like if we have like 1,000 cases reported in the entire country, then we go to phase 1. And if we reach this milestone, then we are in phase 2 of the contingency plans and emergencies. So what's the plan in Brazil?
Well, so far there's some cities are partially closing traffic with one another, with the exception of manufacturing and food supplies.
Yeah.
Supply chain. It does depend really on the mayor of the city and the region of the country. Because, for instance, the state of Rio, which is the second biggest number of cases, the quarantine started 1 week ago, and the state of São Paulo, which has the bigger number of cases, it will start in the day 24. I think it's not Tuesday. I think so. It hasn't started yet, so it's not complete. It's a bit irregular, but there are some measures that the federal government is taking, like reducing a lot of taxes with goods that you need to produce. I forgot the name of the word. It's that I think it's antiseptic alcohol, which you use to clean up
isopropyl alcohol or ethyl alcohol.
Yeah, one of those. I'm not sure what's the name in English, and it's making some measures
vodka. That's the
I mean,
what's the name of that horrible drink, Brazilian drink?
Horrible drink? How dare you? I might need to invade Mexico after after that. But I think
Cachaça.
you're talking about cachaça.
Yeah, I actually brought some cachaça back from Pitu Cachaça.
Jesus, really, man? That's low quality.
It's
horrible.
Really?
Yeah,
That's horrible. Really, you should use that as a gasoline for your car.
well,
it
that's what I
like
could
that.
bought. That's what I could bought, and dude, it left my bag smelling like alcohol for like a month.
Nigga, that's what hobos drinks around here.
Well, that's what I could bought, dude. And I was seeing, the advertisements everywhere for Pitu Pitu. And I don't know why I brought cachaça because I didn't even like it. I guess I just didn't.
If you want the good quality one, you should have bought the ones that came from the state of Minas Gerais. Actually, most food and drinks that come out from there is just great. Pitu, really? No wonder you think that drink is horrible, because that spark really hits.
I actually don't have problem with high content alcohol beverage.
Me neither.
I drink whiskey neat. I drink tequila neat, vodka neat. Yes, I don't have problem with that. It's probably
I drink Jägermeister neat.
That's fucking horrible. It tastes like Pepto-Bismol. It's no. I'm going to genocide all of you.
It tastes like
syrup.
cold medicine.
Yeah, syrup.
Like cough syrup.
Yeah, horrible shit.
You've seen me drink like a bottle of it.
Yeah, I seen you do horrible shit with that stuff. The smell of Jägermeister makes me want to barf.
But we actually even use cachaça around here as a homemade medicine. We usually mix cachaça with lemon, honey, and ginger, and we usually take.
So it's your tequila.
It's your tequila.
Yeah, we actually we use mezcal and tequila for homemade recipes.
More tequila than mezcal, because mezcal is a little bit too sweet for that. It's not that good with lemon or lime.
Yeah. Well, depends
mezcal
on
is
mezcal.
good with but usually mezcal you drink with orange.
Yeah. Which is actually really good. Mezcal. Tequila is a mezcal. It's just that tequila is from the region of Jalisco and Nayarit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the region of tequila.
Is from the highlands of pretty much of Jalisco.
Yeah, and the region is called tequila.
Right.
Yeah, it's from a kind of. It's not a cactus, but it's an agave plant. It's called agaves. It's kind of like a cactus. It's not that, but kind of. And depending on the region they produce and the plant, they produce different kinds of alcohol from it. All of them are called mezcales, but like true mezcal is made from the one from Oaxaca, and tequila is made from blue agave, and we have one in Chihuahua called Sotol, which is made from I forgot the name of the agave.
Right. I mean, at least cachaça around here, that's made from sugar cane, if I'm not mistaken.
So it's like I tasted it, but I didn't like it. Is it like a rum?
No, because I find rum a bit sweeter than cachaça, but it does really depends from which kind you end up buying. Because there's a lot of low quality ones, like the one you fell, he bought that me too. Like, I can't believe it, but bought this shit. And there's pretty goods as well. For instance, around here, people call Salinas a good one, not my favorite, but it's a good one. So it's really
I never had a good cachaça, so I wouldn't know.
But I mean, it's kind of it came from the sugarcane culture, because it started with the Portuguese in their plantations in North Africa. They brought sugarcane culture to here, and they found they could produce not only sugar but also something to drink as well. And also it was used to, I think, to make the leather from pig leather, to make it softer as well. And then it became a big product around here.
Didn't know that. So, what do you think is going to happen in the future in Brazil? Do you think how worse do you think it's gonna get? Do you think it's going to get better now, or are the people panicking? Because here they're starting to panic by toilet paper.
I'll be honest. The only part of there are some markets panicking the richer parts of this city of Rio. I'm not sure how it goes in other parts of the country, but it doesn't look panicky in the streets at least. But I'll say this: worst case scenario is that this disease it reaches the slums, the favelas. In that case, then you might end up seeing a lot of it. That would be a worst case scenario. With any case, economically speaking, our economy will most likely stagnate or shrink during this year, which kind of sucks. But I think
here in Mexico, we're going to get a crisis like a good size crisis. Probably like about the tequila crisis. I'm expecting that.
No, I mean, the worst part about for us that we just came out of a crisis and now might end up going to another. It does depend. Yeah. I mean, worst case scenario, yes. Best case scenario, we're just going to stagnate or have a very small negative growth.
Now here we're probably going to get, not kidding, a full-blown crisis. The issue is in Mexico. The equivalent of Petrobras in Mexico is called Pemex, Petróleos Mexicanos.
Sí, yes, I know.
Okay, so Pemex has a huge problem inside of it that they didn't invest in the company for like pretty much 15 years, maybe 10 years, I don't know. Say 10 years, a decade. And they've been extracting money from it, and they have a huge debt issue. And also they have huge problems because our oil is kind of expensive to extract. It takes like I think
it's pretty low quality. It's pretty low quality.
No, that's for refinement. But even before refinement or oil, a barrel it should cost about $32 to extract a barrel of oil in Mexico. Oof. But because of the issues of inefficiencies and they haven't invested in any capital in Pemex, right now it's costing like something along the lines of $38 to $40 to extract a barrel.
Right. I think that was happening somewhat similarly with Dilma when she was in power. Petrobras was losing money the more petrol they would extract.
Yeah, that happened here, and right now what's going on is that Pemex has sold futures of its oil, so it has a contract to extract, I don't remember how many barrels a day, but however many there are, and it's selling them for a profit, for like, I don't remember if it's $55 a barrel, $50 a barrel, something like that, so they're getting a profit.
Barely.
Barely. But if they extract any extra barrels, they lose money.
Right, and then with this crisis between Saudi Arabia and Russia, that most likely is going to be even bigger.
And Russia said that
for them.
They say that they're not backing off and they're ready for I think they said that they're ready for $15 a barrel, which is insane.
Yeah, we haven't seen those prices since the 80s.
80s.
Yeah, 90s or 80s or something like that. So yeah.
I get it. I mean, at least around here in Brazil, petrol is extremely expensive because of taxes. Even though we produce that stuff.
Yeah, here the liter of gas is like almost, well, not anymore because the dollar went up, but it was almost $1 for a liter of gas.
Actually, it's the same around here, really.
Yeah, but I remember that in Brazil, like when I was back there, I remember that has been the case in Brazil since, like, even when I was there, like six years ago, it was like $1 per liter or something like that. So, and even for the
that's awfully expensive.
And even for the subsidized ethanol, it was kind of expensive. I was impressed by how expensive gas was.
I forgot what's the name, natural gas as an alternative, which is a bit cheaper, but far less. It's not. It takes some space from your car in the bag because you have to store that.
It only works if you have a truck, and that's how Cavernario he used to have a truck with a
pickup truck.
Yeah. He could, because he basically had like a gas tank in the.
No, not basically. I had a 250 liters gas tank in my truck.
Yeah, and that's the only way you can make it work. If you have like a subcompact sedan, no, you're fucking. You're say goodbye to your trunk. Yeah.
And, right, but anyway,
as I was saying, that's one of the that's what's going around before Russia and Saudi Arabia had their fight with the oil prices. So even at $40, we were kind of losing money or not making any, at least. So now at 20, it's horrible. And then you bring the Coronachan into the issue, this fucking Chinese aids, and we're gonna get a crisis, a big one. I'm betting on a crisis the size of the one of the tequila crisis, of the crisis we had in '94.
Yeah,
I don't know how far it's going to be, but it's possibly that's going to be a bit nasty. There was parties that we just came out of one, and now it might end up in another.
You're going the Argentinian road, basically.
Hopefully not. I mean, to be unlike the Argentinians, our government is actually doing a good job, especially in the economic department. But there's some things you can't avoid, really, which are beyond your power.
Yeah.
I mean, for instance, I told here a couple of times before that most of the state companies, back when the Workers' Party was in power, they would use their money to finance far left and communist groups in Latin America and parts of Africa. Nowadays they don't do that anymore, and those companies now are operating at profit. Like the Caixa Econômica Federal, which is a bank, the BNDES, which is Banco Nacional, the National Development Bank here, is having a profit. Just getting rid of that leftist thing has made those companies a bit better. So there's a positive here.
Yeah.
Here we're going to get fucked because López Obrador did a horrible job last year because he, as Paul said, he emptied our fund. We had a huge fund to deal with crisis, and he used it to pay like
economic stimulus.
Yeah, not even
quote,
that.
unquote.
He used it to give people free money for like old people and needs.
Yeah, that need box. The need box.
Yeah, the need box and the Huachicolero box also.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, the government around here, because of this crisis, is planning to give some money, but it's only to what we call around here autonomous, which are people that work on the streets and have no job security or anything like that. But a far cry from that American 1,000 Trump dollars. Ironically enough, I don't know if you're aware of this, the idea of UBI, I think it originally came from Milton Friedman, the Chicago economist in the 60s. And they actually did this here in Brazil. I don't like the political use of it, but what we call around here, it's called Bolsa Família. It's literally a UBI system. The government just give you a check.
I'm for UBI myself. I'm not a...
Speaking of Social Security, that's the most efficient one. Just give people
because you
some
need
money.
a bureaucracy.
Exactly. And people know how to use them, how to spend it.
Even if they're stupid and they use it...
the political use of it. Which around here it was used to keep the left in power. If that wasn't the case, then it would be fine.
True. But even if you use it like you say, but people will know what to do with the money. Even if they don't know what to do with the money, it's better to give them a check and they use the money for whatever they want than
it's better than creating 100 of bureaucracies to handle giving some parts of money to this and some parts to that. It's much more efficient.
Candies, coke, and prostitutes. That's where the money will go.
Well, prostitutes and narcos... prostitutes and narcos do buy a lot of stuff, so it will accelerate the economy.
And media. A lot of media.
Yeah. For Neatbox, I think, sadly, we will have to tax Steam. Because the Neats will spend a lot of that money on Steam.
We will. Because we're going to be without jobs.
Exactly. And without anything to do, what you're going to expect from those people?
And you know what? I was thinking, okay, you say, okay, I will spend it on horse and drugs. Okay, the drug dealer won't let you in because he's in quarantine. And the whore won't go with you because
the whole night.
Well, so you got no horse and no drugs.
On com girls.
So might as well spend those Steam.
You know, on those the Twitter thoughts, maybe you could spend it on them.
Yeah, but
the e-tots.
Who spends money on e-tots?
Yeah,
I'll be honest. It's like those guys who read the FAQs. Who reads an FAQ?
I mean, come on. I think it's time to trash the Americans because really that's one thing which I don't think it's never going to happen here in Brazil. Prostitution is so easily accessible here.
Yes,
and there's such a free culture around here regarding it that the idea of incels and simping, that's so foreign to us.
Brazil is incredible. Even if you're not looking for a prostitute will come your way.
Yeah, it's pretty cheap as well.
Well, in China, that's true too. If you're staying in a hotel, they will call you from the lobby to see if you want a prostitute.
Do you want to fuck?
No, they say. Actually, what they say.
You Western.
No. What they say. You want lady? You want lady?
We
send lady.
$5.
No. You say we send lady, and they will send you some young girls, like I don't know, 5, 7. And if you don't like girls. Them, and if you don't like any of them, they will send another 5 or 7, and so on until you like one.
Excellent.
Oh, come on, what's the difference from one or the other? Everyone there looks like clones. Oh boy,
well, they all
people
look like
the
Jackie
time
Chan.
started to shitpost about China.
They look like Jackie Chan, but with boobs.
Some of them have boobs. Some of them.
Real ones or fake?
No, usually real ones. Chinese women do have real boobs.
The boobies.
I don't believe it. The Chinese lie.
No, I've seen it.
Have you touched it?
Yeah, for sure.
Excellent.
But they have no asses at all.
Yeah, that they don't. That's an advantage Brazil has in ample supply of it.
Yeah. Pretty well-formed woman, I have to say. Really nice.
Brapping intensifies.
Yeah. Yeah, so one of the things that I was that I heard in the news is that probably half of the workforce in the entire world is going to be fired from their jobs. We're going to lose like half. And
in
probably
Mexico, it's going to be 15 to 20% at least, because that's the tourism sector.
Yeah,
I was going to say that's the same here in Brazil, especially Rio, because it's a tourist spot, really. So we are going to see a considerable decrease in the service industry and the tourism industry in particular.
Restaurants are pretty much fucked. I mean, I was talking with a friend
here, they are trying to make ends meet with delivery services, but that's kind of it, basically it.
I have a friend who owns
Uber Eats.
I have a friend who owns like 7 restaurants here, and he said that if he's lucky, one of them will survive.
Holy fuck.
But he doesn't believe that even one of them will survive. He said, if this continues for like 2 or 3 months more, I'm done.
Going to be a gigantic show-off for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, and then what? You have this huge mass of people without jobs. What are you going to do about it?
Revolutions.
That's the big question.
Social unrest.
Especially if people having to stay at home for long. I mean, 1 week it's fine, but when it starts to add up, I think people are going to get antsy pretty quick.
The big igloo.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. That, okay, you tell people you have to stay in home 15 days. Perfect. Everybody will do it. Okay. But what about in 15 days? In 15 days, this is not over by any chance. They will continue for at least 6 months, maybe a year and a half. Then what? You're going to tell people in a month? Oh, you have to stay in for another month.
Exactly. I mean, I think there's some people around here that think, oh, after those 15 days, everything's going back to normal, and that's it. No, it's not. Unfortunately, it's not. I mean, the best thing to hope is to find a way to get rid of this chink virus as soon as possible, because otherwise, when that's the most likely scenario, people are going to get antsy pretty quick. And when they do, we might end up seeing civil unrest, which surprisingly might be around the world.
Yeah, that's the issue. Everybody's getting it.
Luckily, at least here in the southern hemisphere, I think with the Spanish flu, the first wave was kind of mild, but the one that came after during the winter time was particularly harsh. Luckily around here, that's most likely not going to happen because, I mean, come on, we don't really have any winter, really.
No,
so there's this positive on us, at least.
I don't know. I think that's what worries me, that people are going to let their guard down. And maybe if we get a hot summer and maybe if the coronavirus subsides and goes away for a while, people will say, oh, nothing happened. And then coming November or December, we're going to get fucked for real.
Yeah, I think at least Europe's going to get hit pretty hard because there's, I don't know how news look up there in Mexico, but at least around here, they usually say, oh, the big crisis in China has already reached the peak, it's not going up any higher, it's decreasing. Well, I mean, come on, you cannot trust the news.
I talked with a friend in China and he said that's fucking lies.
Exactly, how the same thing.
At most, factories are running like at 60%, and at most.
Exactly, and then people look, oh, so they took for them about, say, 2-3 months, and they are great now. That's not the case, really. And they might say, oh, if they took that long for them, it's going to take even less for us, so we shouldn't worry much. But I don't think that's the case. But
I am worried about the medium-term consequences of this virus.
Yes,
not long-term.
Long-term, they are positive for us, I would say. But medium-term, not so great. I mean, long-term, hopefully, I want all the countries in the world to unite and blast China. But that's wishful thinking. But all of
but probably what will happen is that a lot of companies will get out of China because they cannot sustain. Those are companies that survive what's going on and what will come. They will not survive another round of this next time. So they will have to decouple from China. Those that can, of course, because some companies cannot decouple from China. All of those depended on raw minerals, like anything cell phone related or TVs or that kind of stuff. That will have to remain in China or Asia in general.
Yeah.
But plastics, they could come back here, which I'm not sure I want them to come because plastic. To make plastics, it creates a shit ton of environmental issues.
Pollution, right?
Yeah, but the real pollution.
We had one. Well, we still have it. The city of Cubatão in the state of São Paulo used to be known in the 80s as the most polluted city in the entire world because it had of the large amounts of chemical and likewise industries they had there.
Yeah, so I'm not sure.
It was like
plastics.
crazy. Was like the ground was poisoned, the population was poisoned, everything was poisoned in that city. They kind of tried to turn that around, but it's still, I've been there, it's not that great.
And that happens when your country, there's no way to do plastics in a safe manner. No way.
Yeah, well, I guess it's time to bring that Ted Kaczynski quote, the Industrial Revolution and its effects have been a disaster to the human race, am I right?
Yeah. And you know about lithium, right? That where there's a lithium mine, everything is dead for like 40 miles around it?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Well, plastics are... Some of the plastics are even worse. So, I don't know, but on the other hand, we have huge countries here in America, in the continent, and you can designate an area that is going to die and put all the plastic factories there.
An exclusion zone like Chernobyl.
Yeah, and put all the plastic factories in there.
It's kind of ghoulish, but that's true. You have so much grounds to so much free ground where there's actually no one living, so you can actually do that.
Yeah, like for example, say like there's parts of the Sonora Desert that for real nothing lives there. A couple of lizards and 2 cactus.
A shit ton of scorpions, and that's it.
Yeah, who cares for that? Put all the plastic factories in there. There's it never rains, so you have no issues of the water mantle.
The pollution reaching the water mantle, or in the rivers.
You have no river, so that's another issue taken care of, and it's surrounded by mountains. So that's it. It's it's not a seismic zone. It's not they don't get hurricane. They don't get anything. It's just a fucking dead desert. You could put all the horrible factories there. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, the Sonora Desert could be their place for the plastic factories, and it's in America and in Mexico. Like it's between Sonora and Arizona.
Yeah, that might be one way to get to move those industries away from China and set up all that kind of stuff there, I guess.
Yeah, it's already dead. I mean, who cares? Yeah, some environmentalists will say, oh, but the fucking spotted lizard from the Sonora Desert. Who fucking cares for the spotted lizard of the Sonora Desert? And, medicine, I think the gringos are going to bring back the medicine factories. Because that's huge... huge security issue.
I think some countries in Europe already produce a lot of medicine, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, Germany does produce some. I mean,
Germany
we do buy a
lot
lot of food.
And we produce some, but fucking Mexicans. We started sending our medicine factories to India.
Jesus Christ. From any country in the world, you end up choosing India. Oh, well, I guess. It is going to be a superpower by 2020. So I think that's the choice, I guess.
That means that Indian labor is even more cheaper than Mexican labor.
Oh, way, way, way cheaper. Way cheaper. Indian labor is like one-fifth of Mexican labor cost.
Yeah, it's cheaper from Brazilian labor as well. It's going on the telly around here about news of Brazilians trying to invest in India. And it's cheaper there as well. It's like, I don't know, some guy, oh, I'm good. You don't need to pay me 20 reals for work. I work for 25 rupees. That's more than enough, my friend. Like, scant nigga. What can I do, right?
But actually, if you... but for me, at least the Indians are not that bad. I mean, yeah, they smell horrible. They're dirty people, but I don't think they're evil people like the Chinese.
Yeah, I don't think they're evil, but they are ugly. They smell bad. Their food is ugly and smell bad. Good heavens! I mean, if there's one thing that's a crime against humanity, it's Bollywood. Good.
Yeah, but they're not like, and they're also not criminal. Like, I never seen an Indian that is like a big time criminal.
They're too stupid to be big time criminals.
There we go. There's the reason.
No, because you have Nigerians.
Well, yes. but they go.
Well, we have Brazilians, and that's enough for criminal activity if we need any.
Yeah, but you have different levels. You have the favela level of low level crime. And you have the white collar kind of crime from the white people. So one does more damage than the other one. Because here comes Lula da Silva and he fucks up your country forever. That's more than...
I mean, that's I can't believe there's so many people that support that bastard still. I mean, I get it that if you support an evil bastard like him, because, I don't know, you get money out of it. I can understand that. Or you support him because he gave you some cushy job or anything like that. What I don't get is the fact that he backstabs everyone in the back, even his supporters. And some people still support him. It does say a lot of the value of democracy, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not. It is a fucking race to the bottom. Yeah, it's the lowest common denominator is going to. Well, I don't know. I think that sometimes people they want to get like the social validation. Like, okay, my guy is in, even if he's fucking horrible. At least it's not the other guy. So yeah,
and to be fair, that's common. That happens everywhere, really. And it does say a lot about how valuable that system is, right? I mean, that happens in every country right now.
Yeah, it's how Tertia calls it, democratic fundamentalism. Like, everything has to be democratic, and the democracy becomes the fundamental value of society, that you have democratic schooling, a democratic society.
Yes, that happens.
Yeah.
For instance, during the carnival or doing some TV program about going to the beach, they say, "Oh, the beach is great because it's free, it's democratic." I mean, what the hell, democratic? Really? What does that have to do with anything? Or during the carnival, which it's very popular. The parties are great and they're all democratic. What does that have to do with anything? Really?
Yeah, everything has to be democratic.
Like a cult. It's not even religion. It's like a cult of democracy, really.
Yeah, it's a mystery cult. Like, it's surrounded by. It is weird that we are supposedly in the age of reason, that we had left all of these backward superstitions of the church and all of that, but we're exchanging them for all of this mysticism, like surrounding the will of the people, that it's completely meaningless and doesn't mean anything at all.
and to be fair, I don't like it anyway, but if you actually had the will of the people in action, believe you would have a permanent far right-winger dictatorship in power. If you ask the common Joe in the streets, the average working guy, you can get a pretty nice picture of what would be in power. I would agree with it.
Yeah, you will have an incredibly militaristic society in a way. Yeah, it would be like the Iron Hand is going to rule forever. Yeah, it's pretty much.
And everyone lived happily ever after.
Yeah, and all the favelas are destroyed.
There's one thing that's interesting about this coronavirus crisis is that, especially starting with where the Workers' Party came into power, they started a policy to try and make the favelas look like good places, like it was not bad and dirty or whatever, but it was actually good.
Yeah,
and so it began the notion, the favelas are good and the average neighborhoods or the rich neighborhoods are bad. That they were pushing, that's inversion of values that the left tries to push, where everything it's, to use Marxist terms, where everything that's linked to lumpen proletariat, it's good, and everything that's linked to worker class, middle class, and everyone is bad. But due to this crisis right now, people are having to accept reality that favelas are pretty shitty. And that's something I'm not going to complain if they actually start to look towards as it is.
Yeah, that's like a very Manichaean way of viewing the world, that, these guys are bad and these guys are the good ones. And I think that in the particular case of Brazil, I think that this change of view of the favela actually came from that music video that Michael Jackson made in the favela, that is that surrounds the Cristo Redentor, the statue of Cristo Redentor. That he came there.
Yeah, I know which one you are talking. It did give a boost to them, but to be fair, that's a result that came all the way from the 60s. I mean, come on, our intelligentsia was looking what was happening in the United States and Europe. They brought that around here. So.
Yeah, but if you actually look at some of the most popular films in Brazil, there's this film that it's about the bopes in Brazil, and they go to the favelas, and the favelas are not shown in a.
You're talking about Tropa de Elite, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and it's not like the most.
It's popular because you see essentially like a militaristic man bones going around killing a bunch of criminals. Why would you even like that? It's interesting because the main actor that plays that movie, the Tropa de Elite, is called Capitão Nascimento. The actor that plays him around here is called Wagner Moura. He's a very far leftist guy, but he became a hero in the eyes of the average folk around here because he played a masculine soldier that would go around shooting a bunch of criminals. So it's not that the favelas itself are good. That movie is popular because it's bringing law and order, bringing the law to the jungle.
Yeah, and it's like not a more realistic view, but like things are not as they seem, and things have to be made right because unfortunately in the favelas you have problems. And and sometimes drastic actions have to be taken in order to.
Yeah, and believe me, they are extremely popular with the population. Back in the 80s, we had many. You could say it's called the right-wing death squads to bring the law to those places. And not only did they work, the members of those death squads would be considered heroes by the population. The human rights people on the leftists hated them. But the average folk love these guys.
Yeah, and a lot of those guys are like that because they come from those places and they know the vast majority, actually, because they basically they were born and they live under those conditions. They were constantly struggling against the horrible situation that they were living in, and so they say, we have to do something. The government is completely ineffectual, so it's
useless.
Yeah, useless.
And that's when things are good, the government is useless. Usually, the government is actually worse than that.
Yes,
it's detrimental.
It was what was happening until recently, until Bolsonaro got in power, because they were still around, but the police. Not the police, that the military, what we have here, it's called the Polícia Militar. It's the military police that goes to fight in the favelas and all. But there are elements of the police that would hunt down those people that would do these, that would work on those death squads and all. And come on, the population supports those guys because they would bring crime down, sure, in a violent manner. But what are you going to do? So yeah, the government was hampering that. So it's even worse than useless, like I say.
Well, because you cannot take the monopoly. It looks really bad if the state is challenging the monopoly of violence, because it's basically what is there to do, and if they cannot provide that basic function, enforcing the law and in the only one that can do legitimate violence. So why do we? It comes. Some questions arise naturally from that why we even have a government, or why do we even support the regime and all of that. It's
getting into real libertarians hours now, aren't we? Next, in a few minutes, might end up defending Mac nukes.
Well,
or anything.
A lot of people, even libertarians today, probably would call that fascistic in a way, but. It is the truth to an extent. The government
I call it reality.
Yeah, it's the reality, and sometimes in our countries, libertarians are fucking retarded because they have lived in. They usually come from the United States or those first world countries where they don't have these kind of problems. Fortunately for them.
Yeah, no, but to be fair, and I only speak for Brazil this time, but libertarianism managed to acquire considerable growth in Brazil because of the fact that people look to the states and what they see, bloated parasites, and all it did was, hamper your ability to work and tax everything out of you. So libertarianism managed to grow considerably here in Brazil because of that, and it does plays effect on Bolsonaro right now. At least on the economic side. I mean, the political one, yeah, whatever. That doesn't really matter.
And what Bolsonaro is doing for the economy right now with the crisis, is he, suspending the debts that the banks are trying to collect or something like that?
Well, so far he puts a classical liberal economist, a pretty good one actually, in the economic Ministry of Economics here. But what do you mean? Giving bailouts and that kind of stuff? So far, none. It might help people because of the coronavirus thing, but nothing that has been 100%. Anything. There's nothing that is actually certain.
Yeah, the problem is that the banks have a huge clout over government. So I cannot see. If the United States does it, probably other countries are going to follow suit. But the problem is that if you say to all the creditors, all the banks, basically, you're going to have to suspend your debt collection. It's not going to. You're going to have serious problems because they could go to the international bank or to the United States and say, hey, they're doing this that is illegal, probably is under international law, and they start to impose sanctions over us. So it can get really complicated, and I don't know. I'm speculating for the most part. So yeah, the problem is that for us individual countries here in Latin America, it's really hard to actually take those kind of actions like individual countries. Go ahead, volunteer. I will just make a note.
We will now have a short intermission. This is a perfect time to visit with your phone inside the lobby area and announce to all of your many internet friends about how wonderful...
Prognostics of what might happen in Brazil. Worst case scenario was a kind of a negative one, but what's to expect from Mexico then in the next 3 to 6 months?
Actually, I think in the next 3 to 6 months it won't be that bad. I do believe that we will have less cases in summer, just relating to just thinking about how other coronaviruses act. And they usually don't proliferate that much on summer. But I believe that come next winter, we're gonna get crushed.
Yeah, the climate does not worry me so much, like here in Brazil, because it kind of doesn't really change much. It's more the social effects that it might have in a couple of months, really.
Yeah, so that's what worries me, and we're not ready. We're not ready at all for the crisis because, like we told you before, our president.
Was anyone?
No, but we were even worse that because our president, he emptied the funds from the social security hospitals, and they don't have money for regular medicine.
Yeah, and the fact that we're not a first world country, and I mean, come on, me neither, but does not help at all. Still, I would say the fact that I cannot speak for Mexico, but at least in Brazil, we don't get as many travelers and people that work like in Europe or America does. So we have this positive one.
We have pretty much
tourism
every day.
Is the third biggest industry here in Mexico.
And Americans come to Mexico to my city. At least 150 to 500 Americans come to Chihuahua almost every day.
Yeah, and a lot of Europeans too, because they want to go to to the Barrancas and all of that. So yeah, and if you go to the coastal areas like Cancun and all of those places, it's full of Europeans. Or Baja,
Cancun gets like 12 million people a year.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, I've been to Cancun a couple of times. You do see a lot of Americans and Europeans there.
Yeah,
some Asians as well. I saw that.
Yeah, we're getting.
Interestingly enough, despite Brazil, or at least Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, having a lot of tourism focus, it's not the main focus of the state. That's petroleum production, but it does have a large tourism industry. Nationwide, tourism in Brazil is not that high, really. Compared to other countries, we're actually pretty low. I did saw somewhere that we get as less tourism than Iran gets it.
Whoa.
So at least in this crisis, that's a positive, I suppose, because we get less people here. And that's one thing I see as a positive prognostics to Brazil, the fact we don't get as many travelers as the Europeans or the Americans.
No, we're getting fucked in all ways. Mexico is fucked. And,
we're just looking at some positives.
No, we don't have any positives here.
Probably there's going to be less Chiros, but...
Oh yeah, the Chiros, which is what we call the lefties here, the commies.
Yeah, the commies for AMLO.
Well, the commies here are using this crisis as an excuse to attack Bolsonaro. They managed to get some support from the center people. Well, for the lack of a better word, the cucks and all of that. In fact, and that's a shame only managing this only in the end of the podcast, here in the state of Rio, which was under the first decree quarantine, there is an argument that it might have been made illegally, in the sense that it has some issues with federal law. Federal law does not allow you to close some airports and all of that, because the governor here, which is called Wilson Witzel, he got elected because he got pretty close to Bolsonaro. He used Bolsonaro as a way to get into power, because Bolsonaro is more popular and all of that. But after getting into power, he stabbed in the back the Bolsonaro and the Bolsonaro family, and he has been doing so ever since, because he wants to become the next president, which to me it's pretty stupid. But anyway, there you have it.
No, we're getting fucked in Mexico, and the Chiros, even they're saying here, like in social media, the leftists, they're saying that the coronavirus is a complot to.
It's a complete fabrication. It's a simulation to attack the government of López Obrador. So it's a conspiracy theory. Everything that there's like a
worldwide conspiracy theory, right?
Yeah,
come on, the derangement of some leftists is surprising.
Yeah, actually, you have to understand where the people that support AMLO and AMLO comes from. AMLO basically won the presidency of Mexico because of a conspiracy theory that he has pushed for over a decade, that there's these...
Like 2 decades.
Already. Yeah, like 2 decades, that there's this power mafia that exists in
right-wing power mafia.
That right-wing power mafia that is out to get him. And that's why he couldn't win the last 2 presidencies, the last two votes.
Lula we used to say that because before he got into power, and once he got into power, he would accuse what he called his words, his blonde-eyed, gold-haired, rich people, right-wing mafia that would be against him.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because it's not kind of like that, but AMLO was basically got into the presidency because he was pushing this conspiracy theory that there was this mafia del poder, mafia power, that political power that existed only to oppress the Mexicans, him being the conduit of the will of the Mexican people. So now that he's in power and all of this bad stuff is happening around his presidency and his regime, the people that support him have been coming some of the strangest. For example, the people that support AMLO have a fixation with a ex-president, one of the ex-presidents of Mexico, Felipe Calderón, who was the ex-president from 2 administrations ago. There had been 12 years almost, and they're still really butthurt that he won the presidency. He lost. Yeah, that AMLO lost to Felipe Calderón, and since then that conspiracy theory that exists that they basically stole the presidency from him 2 times. It has exploded with all of this that Felipe Calderón, who has not been in power for over 6 years, is still fucking over AMLO, and that's why AMLO keeps making mistakes and bad things happen to him and his presidency. Really, really fucking weird. So and those are the people that voted him for him. Those people go to vote for the president of Mexico. So it's like, no, man, we are fucking so many ways because people have not opened their eyes. People are still, they had hunkered down even more on their the hysteria has even grown. Like the psychosis has grown even more. So it's bad. It's really bad.
Yes.
I'll say this. It's kind of weird because to have that during this health crisis everyone is facing. But whatever. This leftists are very neurotic people.
Yeah, complete neurosis. Yeah, it's like, yeah. Maybe you can compare it to some things that happen in the. It's like a recurring theme with people on the left side of politics that support this kind of personalities. They always. Yeah, go ahead.
I would say that, what are you going to expect from people whose ideology bases itself on denying reality? Of course you're going to end up neurotic if you can't accept the world as it is.
Oh, and that justifies everything to you because you're victimized by the world, or the bad situation that you are living in is because you are a victim and people are oppressing you, and you make that your political your political ideology. It's it's FUBAR. Fuck up John Henry Repair.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if you want to continue the. We can talk about
if you have any other questions.
Well, I would say this. Nuking China. Should we do it the 2020 or 2021?
I say 2019 was too late already, so we should start right now.
I think it wouldn't change anything. It probably make things worse. Yeah, but we need the manufacturing base. That's the problem. So
yeah, that's true. But if that were not the case, then
well, Trump needs to get his shit together and start forcing those companies to move all those fucking factories from China.
Yeah, good luck with that. I'm surprised the fact that he was. To be fair, everyone's against.
Probably the pharmaceutical companies will get out. I think they're going to use the Emergency Powers Act or whatever to get some appropriation funds, like a couple $100 billion, and open pharmaceutical companies in America.
They need to.
That would be a start.
And it's really not a question about that American labor is more expensive. I have actually seen some videos in YouTube of manufacturing plants in China, and a lot of the fabrication process is done by it's automated because Chinese labor is really, really expensive. So it's really weird. The excuse.
I would say this: we're in 2020. We are no longer in the 80s or the 90s or hell, the 70s.
Yeah.
Because when China was completely destroyed by Maoism, and so labor became extremely cheap. We're no longer doing those times. So times change, right?
There's even some. In China, there's actually a problem in some electronics manufacturing plants because there's jobs that people don't want to do because it's so fucking repetitive. And actually, the Chinese workers can actually say today, no, I don't want to do that. I prefer to go to another factory that I'm going to do something that is going to pay me more and it's not going to be as soul crushing as that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so there's a lot of, like myths and understandings about the Chinese economy. It's actually pretty fucking advanced. That move that they made to oh yeah, let's manufacture everything in China and we're going to do the research and development back in the United States or Europe actually didn't work out. All the research and development is actually going to China and those places, or Taiwan, which is basically the same. So it's not working out as planned.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, we can cry a little more and and hold ourselves like here together. Like we're going to survive the coronavirus.
No, we're probably going to survive the coronavirus. And
yes, and like I said before, it's not like the meats are going to inherit the earth, but the needs will.
The needs will inherit the earth. The issue is that the economy will be fucked beyond all repair.
Oh, come on, you have all the food industry in each from tendies and all the entertainment.
Yeah, but the tendies are made in China.
Games.
Well, tendies are made in China, my friend.
Oh, God, no. I'm not sure, but I don't eat that shit, but I think chicken nuggets, at least in Brazil, are made around here anyway.
Actually, they're probably made by, what's the name of that huge meat company that we always talk about? No, the one that owns Pilgrim.
I don't know.
That huge Brazilian... No, there's a huge Brazilian meat company that they own pretty much... They own like something retarded, like 30% of the poultry and beef industry in the world.
Holy shit.
Well, we do produce a lot of it, really.
Pretty good meat,
I think you're talking about JBS 3 point.
Yeah, that one. JBS.
Yeah, and that meat's actually pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good meat. Well, you can actually start eating more churrasqueria.
Well, we can't because you're not allowed due to the quarantine. Otherwise, sure. I always try to find an excuse to go to one or cook a churrasco in my home anyway.
Yeah, pretty good meat. Yeah.
Well, it's on par with Argentinian, right?
I mean, as much as Brazil is like a trash Argentinian, I have to take my hat off to them. Theirs better. Ours is good, but the Argentinian meat is better.
Oh, really?
Ours is more ample. I mean, the kind of bovines we use, are more. They breed faster and they are more. They live off better in our terrain, but theirs is of a higher quality.
Ooh, shots fired.
Yeah. Well, so I think that with this we can close this podcast.
Yeah, we talked about food at the end, so
of course,
good for me.
Yeah, it was a good way to finish it.
Remember, guys, you have a huge backlog of Steam games you have to play, so you're okay.
Yeah, you can pirate them.
Or that, you can just go in and say
do what
the
you want
7
because
seas
a
of
pirate
pirates.
is free. You are a pirate.
Yeah, if you're going to be out of work and you're going to be a proper need, so you're going to have to pirate the games.
Remember the Steam emulators, guys.
Yeah. So, Volunteer, thank you for joining us in this really happy chat, this really gay chat.
It's always my pleasure. Shame we ended up going everywhere, so it might sound a bit so we talk about this and then talk about that. It might sound a bit confusing, but hopefully it managed to get enlighten a bit for the listeners what's happening in Brazil.
It was a very gay cheat posting episode.
it makes sense to me. That's what matters.
Oh, we're fucked.
We're so fucked.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So, well, thank you to our listeners. Take care. If you try to don't go out if you don't have to. Well, have a nice evening.
Good night.
Realistic sound.